There have been some incredible stories coming out of Texas these last couple of weeks. Our next guests are an amazing couple who took in a stranded stranger, gave her a safe place to stay for 5 nights. From Austin, Texas, please welcome Nina, Doug, and Chelsea. Hello, you three.
Hello. Hi, Helen.
Hello. So, Chelsea, this story is fantastic. So you're a delivery driver, and this was a normal grocery delivery that you were doing for Nina and Doug. And then, what happened?
So I'm originally from Houston, but I work in Austin on the weekend. So I had come down to Austin on Friday and was packing up and ready to leave Sunday afternoon. So I decided just to do a few more grocery runs before I headed out of town. Their grocery delivery was delayed from the day before. So I picked it up, I texted Nina, I said I'm on my way, and she said, be careful, the steps are icy. So I had that in my mind as I drove up to their house, and their house actually sits a lot lower than the main road. So their driveway is a huge slope. And as I started going down the driveway, I realized that my car just kept sliding no matter how much I was tapping on that brake. And the car just slid down the driveway, and I just closed my eyes and braced myself, hoping I didn't hit their house because that would have been my tip. But my car ended up sliding into a flower bed that they had right in front of the house. And luckily, that was the only thing that, that happened, yeah.
All right, so Doug, when did you know that her car was in trouble?
Well, she texted Nina and told her that she was stuck. So I went out to take a look, and I thought if we could turn the car around and move it down the driveway and maybe get a running start, we could get it back up. And we tried that, and it got about halfway up the hill, and then it just slid back down. And at that point, I realized that it wasn't going to happen.
So
Yeah.
Nina, you just decided, well, Chelsea is going to stay here then. I mean, is that what you just...
Well, Chelsea tried to call a tow truck, and so we invited her in the house because it's freezing outside. And she was sitting there, and she was feeling a little awkward, so she said she's going to run out to her car because they were going to be there any minute. And 2 hours later, they weren't there, and Doug went out and asked her to come back in. So, it was getting dark, and there was just no way that they were coming, and no way that we were sending this sweet young girl out into the, I shouldn't say sweet young girl, young woman out into the cold. We've got kids of our own, Chelsea's age, so I think our parental instincts kind of jumped in right away, and we just started telling her that she wasn't safe and she wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think they invited me to stay before they even knew my name. Like, she was just like, well, you're welcome to stay in the guest room. What's your name, by the way? So it all just happened so quickly.
That's what I love. I love stories like this. Like, you didn't even know her name, and she's, so what were you thinking, Chelsea? They offered for you to stay, and you kind of really didn't have a choice, but that was such a sweet gesture, right?
Yeah, like you said, I didn't really have a choice. There was no place else to go. Tow trucks couldn't get through, so of course no Uber could get through, and I was pretty much stuck. I was a little bit nervous. I felt like I was imposing in their space, but they were just so kind and offered me a steak dinner. We had great Valentine's dinner. Definitely not what I was expecting for my Valentine's Day. I was a little bit nervous. I keep pepper spray on me at all times. They didn't know, but I was just ready just in case. But luckily I was with some of the good people.
Sure, I've seen those scary movies too, where they take you in and like, hey, just stay here, but then they turn. They always look exactly like them too, like normal, just
Exactly.
nice, wholesome family, and then they just turn on you. Chelsea, always, keep that pepper spray. You still don't know who they are. I don't know if I trust them yet. It's so sweet. Yeah, go ahead.
I think after the first night, I felt okay. After the first night, I was like, well, they're not serial killers. I'm not a serial killer. We had that in common, and we just built a relationship from there.
You know what? It's always good to have that in common, that you're not a serial killer. That's the most important thing to have in common. So what did y'all do together? I mean, you're together for 5 nights. Did y'all watch TV together? What'd you do?
Well, most of the time, so Doug and I were working throughout the day. So we had breakfast together, we'd get together for lunch. Chelsea was up in her room which I guess we have to be careful because our other daughters think that's their room instead of we call it Chelsea's room now. And then would come and hang out for dinner. We did the last night when the weather started getting a little bit better in the evening. We had dinner at a friend's house, and Chelsea went with us. We went down and had pizza.
Yeah.
So she's part of the family.
That's fantastic. That's so good. All right, we have to take a break, but we'll be back with Chelsea, Nina, and Doug. We'll be back. Chelsea, so you stayed with Nina and Doug for 6 days before it was safe to drive home. What was that drive home like?
It just made me so much more grateful driving home, because I definitely tried to leave multiple times during the stay. I just felt like I was imposing sometimes, but every time I presented them a plan of going to a hotel or trying to make the run back to Houston, they were just like, no, don't do it, stay here, we insist. And going home that last day, there was abandoned cars all up and down the highway, all the way from Austin to Houston, cars that had spun out, cars that were flipped over. And every time I drove past a car, I just thought, that could have been me, that could have been me, that could have been me. And I was just so grateful that they were so insistent on me staying here and safe until the roads were completely clear.
Yeah, I love this story so much. I mean, this is the kind of thing I love sharing. Like, this is something that we should all be like, to take in someone we have no idea anything about them, total stranger, but just to help them, just because they're in need. We're supposed to do that. That's who we are at our core. All right, I have something for all of you. First, Nina and Doug, we know that you love to travel. You're planning a trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Our friends at Shutterfly love celebrating acts of kindness. We're paying for your trip to Jackson Hole. So you're going to Jackson Hole, and that's on Shutterfly.
Great.
And Chelsea, you're a delivery driver. I know how important tips are. So we want to give you a tip today. I need my checkbook, please. Here it is.
That's nice. I think it's a
Yeah. Chelsea, you're going to get a check for $10,000. And
That's the best tip ever. Thank you.
you are welcome. Good luck cashing that.